Chiune Sugihara, Orders or Conscience, The Future, bridged by the Visas for Life full-story narrative style. Prologue. What would you choose? If you were forced to choose between obeying orders and listening to your conscience, which would you follow? In the summer of 1940 in Kaunas, Lithuania, Japanese diplomat Chiune Sugihara placed his entire life on that very question. In front of him stood countless Jewish refugees fleeing from the Nazi menace. Behind them loomed the Soviet advance. Their only hope of survival rested on one thing: a Japanese transit visa. What follows is the story of a man who, again and again, chose to do what was right. Chapter 1. Quiet Talent, the Childhood and Youth of Sugihara. Sugihara was born in 1900 in Gifu, Japan, into a merchant family. They weren't wealthy, but they valued education. From an early age, he showed a gift for languages, especially Russian. He had an extraordinary ear, catching accents and emotions in voices. That sharpness would later serve him in diplomacy. As a young man, he went to Manchuria, working in Harbin as an interpreter and diplomat. In an environment dominated by military logic, Sugihara learned to look not only at policy on paper, but also at the human being in front of him. When he resigned in protest against policies that treated people as tools, it became clear his guiding principle was simple: never forget the human being. Chapter 2. Assignment to Kaunas, a world in collapse. In 1939, Germany invaded Poland. WI had begun. Waves of Jewish refugees poured into Lithuania. By 1940, the Soviets annexed the Baltic states. Escape routes vanished. Then came a rumor: a Japanese transit visa. If refugees could pass through Japan, they could reach safety in places like the U.S., Palestine, Canada, or Dutch Curaçao. With this fragile hope, thousands came to the Japanese consulate in Kaunas. Chapter 3. Regulations versus reality. 3 telegrams, 3 rejections. Tokyo's orders were blunt. Do not issue visas to anyone lacking a valid final destination. Visa or sufficient funds. Sugihara cabled Tokyo 3 times, describing the desperate situation. 3 times the reply came back: no. In that era, defying orders was unthinkable. It could mean career ruin, disgrace, even the loss of livelihood for his family. But Sugihara saw the trembling hands of mothers, the faces of scholars, children, musicians, living, breathing people. Once he had seen them, he could not look away. At night, tormented and sleepless, he confided in his wife Yukiko. She told him quietly, "Do what your conscience tells you. We will support you." Sugihara picked up his pen. His choice: obey humanity. Chapter 4. The Visas for Life, 300 a day, a family effort. On July 18, 1940, Sugihara began issuing visas, all by hand: names, nationalities, destinations, signatures, seals. There was no office schedule. He worked from before dawn until deep into the night. His fingers swelled, his shoulders ached, ink stained his hands. Across the desk, his wife, Yukiko, organized applicants, and even their children helped with documents. The consulate became a workshop of life. Normally, a few dozen visas per day would be possible. Sugihara wrote nearly 300 daily. In 3 weeks, he produced 2,139 visas, which saved over 6,000 lives, including families. Chapter 5. An ally. Dutch consul Jan Zwartendijk. Sugihara was not alone. Dutch acting consul Jan Zwartendijk issued documents for entry into Curaçao, deliberately omitting the note that governor's permission is required. That technical omission created the final destination the refugees needed. With Sugihara's Japanese visas, the papers became valid bridges to survival. They weren't reckless rebels. They used wisdom and courage to bend rules toward their true purpose: protecting life. Chapter 6. The Train Station. Writing until the last moment. Finally, the Soviets ordered the consulate closed. Sugihara had to leave. But even at the station, with the train about to depart, he continued writing visas. Refugees crowded the platform, weeping and pleading. "Please, at least save my child." Sugihara's hand did not stop. From the train window, he passed visas into the outstretched arms of desperate families. Witnesses later recalled, "He was still writing as the train pulled away. The paper he handed me became my life." Chapter 7. The Journey. Siberia, Tsuruga, Kobe, Shanghai. The visas were only the beginning. With them, refugees boarded the Trans-Siberian Railway to Vladivostok, then sailed to Japan. At Tsuruga port, local Japanese offered warm soup and dry clothes. In Kobe, the Jewish community rallied, arranging shelter and passage onward. Many went to Shanghai, where a ghetto was established. Life was hard, but they survived. One of the most remarkable stories, the Mir Yeshiva, an entire Jewish academy, survived intact thanks to Sugihara's visas. Their students went on to spread Jewish learning worldwide. Chapter 8, his signature Sempo. On the visas, Sugihara signed Sempo, a simpler rendering of his given name. He wanted recipients to read it easily, without confusion. He avoided overly complex characters, clarified incomplete family details, and made sure each visa was truly usable. It wasn't just paperwork, it was a blueprint for escape. Chapter 9, the voices of the saved. Decades later, survivors and their descendants spoke out. Leo Melamed, a leader in American finance, recalled how Sugihara's visa saved his family. Zera Warhaftig, an Israeli politician, testified to the life-saving transit. Countless unnamed families, doctors, musicians, teachers rebuilt lives thanks to those pieces of paper. Many of them call themselves Sugihara's children. They say simply, "Because he never put down his pen, we are alive." Chapter 10, Return Home, not praise but silence. After the war, Sugihara returned to Japan. In 1947, he was quietly dismissed from the foreign ministry officially as a reduction in force. But the shadow of disobedience was clear. He worked in translation and business, living modestly. He never boasted, "I only did what anyone should have done." But surely in his heart, he never forgot the faces at the station, the ones reaching for life. Chapter 11. Recognition, the Japanese Schindler. Over time, stories spread. By the 1980s, testimonies reached Israel, America, Europe. In 1985, Yad Vashem honored him as righteous among the nations. It was the highest recognition Israel could give. Frail and sick, Sugihara shed quiet tears. "I only did what was right." From that day, his words became universal. Chapter 12. Two names in Kaunas. Today in Kaunas, Lithuania, two names are carved in stone. Chiune Sugihara, Jan Svartendijk. Two men, two pens, one bridge. Their courage shows us across nations, across faiths. People can unite for the sake of life. Chapter 13. If AI existed, then humanity meets technology. And now a thought experiment. If AI had existed in 1940, how might it have helped? Identifying duplicate names and reuniting families. Mapping alternate routes from Siberia to Japan and beyond. Detecting forged papers and prioritizing the truly desperate. Instantly cross-referencing laws across Japan, the USSR, and third countries. More lives might have been saved, but the final act, the choice to disobey and save, would still rest with a human conscience. AI can assist, but only people can choose compassion. Chapter 14. Lessons for today. The world still faces refugees, persecution, and division. Sugihara's question echoes, how far would you go to help a stranger? He didn't break rules, he fulfilled their true purpose to protect human life. For governments, companies, and individuals today, his story is not just history, it's guidance. Conclusion. Orders or conscience? What about you? So I ask you once more, orders or conscience? In 1940, Sugihara chose conscience. The visas he wrote were not slips of paper. They were futures. Families, music, learning, generations alive today. Perhaps even the life you live now touches his pen's legacy. You don't need a reason to help people. May his quiet words light a small flame of courage in your tomorrow. This channel brings you what? If stories from history and lessons of courage that matter today. If this touched you, please subscribe, like and share your thoughts in the comments. Your words create the next story.